Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 365 Message Center show. Today, we've got a lot of updates. One of those is the new location for the new chat button in Teams. We have suggested replies in Outlook for iOS and a lot of updates for the SharePoint Admin Center. So let's just jump right into it. Roll that footage. Okay, welcome everyone. I am Daniel Glenn, and
I'm Darrell as a service and good now, wherever you are and whenever you are.
Yes.
Hey, Daniel, there's one other update we struggled with this morning.
Yes, YouTube has given us some wonderful updates that we don't think they're ready for. So that is amazing. And then there's actually...
I can draw a comparison here.
Okay, go for it.
When SharePoint went from classic to modern, it's been a gradual process. It's been quite friendly, really, over the time. There's been a few things that have been maybe dropped in, but we've had time to get used to it. YouTube, kapow! We're going from demo to modern, and too bad with your live control room.
Yes, it has been a wonderful thing this morning, and by wonderful we mean not so wonderful. But we are ready to rock and roll, I think, right?
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
Let's take a look. And all right, so Message Center. The first message we're going to look at is MC196069. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but if you want to start talking about this,
the new chat button. Now, this is one of those announcements that I'm happy that they're letting us know. It seems like it's a minor thing, it's cosmetic, but it could cause some confusion if you don't know it's coming. This, we can let our people know that the chat button and the new chat panel is shifting chat and recent to something of a drop-down menu as you scroll down here, and we're really thankful for these screenshots that prep us as well. It's just tidying up that interface. You can see the new chat button is in line with a filter rather than it being up in there. And look, I've got to say maybe this has got something to do with our ability soon to pop these chats out, and it's now been brought into that whole modal thing that when it does pop out, we're not going to lose the new chat button. What do you reckon?
Yes, and I'm really excited about that, to be honest. The number one complaint I've had about Teams from day one is the way you work. If you're on video or you're in chatting and you want to open a document and work on it at the same time, it just does not work well. I believe in Teams, and so I am excited about the bringing, modal, as you said, in different windows, and I think this does have plays into that. So, but I think this whole concept of a new chat versus a reply it's difficult, and especially for those that are just starting to use Teams, you think you're replying, but you're actually creating a new chat and all that. I think any improvement we get with the management of new chats and new threads versus replies, all that playing together, I think it would be exciting and wonderful. So I think it is better. The experience is better in certain platforms, desktop versus mobile. But I'm excited about it.
Yep, and looking forward to doing more of that, popping out with maybe other applications too. Like, I think the workaround that I use if it's a document is I don't open it in Teams. I might open it in a web browser, an additional tab, and then I can drag those tabs wherever I want.
Exactly, but the Teams team would rather you stay in Teams, I think. So enabling this feature, this whole concept of being able to stay in one interface. I mean, that's the point. Was Teams is your workspace now, and you can work on documents, you can chat, you can collaborate, you can view your intranet, you can have meetings, all of that in one space. But if it doesn't work well, then but they're improving it. They've demoed it. It's coming, and we're excited about it.
If this Electron browser was more like a Chrome or a Chromium thing where it did have real tabs, maybe we could do it natively. Anyway, we should probably move on.
Yes, I think we probably should.
If and when and hopeful. Yes.
Right. Cross our fingers. MC196117. This is updates to search coming in Outlook for Windows.
Are you on the insider build, Daniel?
I am,
For
yes.
Office?
Yes. On one tenant I am, yes.
Okay. Well, and this is the desktop applications when
Right.
it says Outlook for Windows. So remember, everyone, we zeroed and we said it's not just Office Online and Office on desktop anymore. It's just Office.
Right.
This is Outlook for Windows, so we do have to specify.
Right.
This is your search box, which if some of you are on the insider build, it is moved up into, you could say, the title bar of the window. And this is where, if you're used to searching for documents, emails, contacts, and things above the message list, then it's actually shifting right up there to unify Microsoft Search, not just Outlook Search.
That's
Microsoft
right.
Search.
And Microsoft Search is this search experience across the platform, which is something that, frankly, I've been waiting so long for, to be able to say, I'm doing a search and I want to find documents and conversations and web pages, and documents in SharePoint, but documents in OneDrive, all in one place. That's what Microsoft Search is. And bringing that ability to Outlook and being able to get that experience, thumbs up from Daniel. We should have a thumbs up kind of a scale. Is it 4 thumbs up or is it 1? Yeah, I think for me it's definitely 2 thumbs up. But to be able to find,
I can
what
visualize that. Some cheesy little bing, 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 bing,
bing, bing, bing, bing, bing,
and
or a half. How do you do? If it's like I'll give it 1.5.
Half them.
All right. Anyway, so this improvement, I'm loving it. If you don't want your users to see the coming soon bit and try this in advance, there is a way to manage that through group policy, and there's a link at the bottom of this message to show you how to do that if you don't want your users to see those preview features in their face.
I actually like that though, Daniel, as a mechanism for trying things out with low risk. I do. You have your
low risk
insider group that you can give people updates to faster, like every month, and you've got your biannual one. But this one allows people to try it out, go, don't like it, turn it back off, and you get some very quick feedback from your key users, maybe your change agents, about how this is going to land within your organization.
I agree. And just to open up the blog post, this is from the 4th of November, talking about the updates, and this was coincided with Ignite, talking about how we can there's a lot of updates here for Outlook, so check out that blog post about how you can use search. How you can use the search, and of course it doesn't work the way I want it to, but use the search in Outlook to be able to find everything, right?
You were gonna click in that search box. I could see you just about. You wanted to, didn't you?
It doesn't work. And for those that are listening to our audio version of podcast, just go take a look at that blog, and you'll see the image and where I was pretending to click in. I was pretending, Darrell. I wasn't. Anyway. All right. The new feature, Microsoft Teams for Linux. MC
yeah, this wasn't requested much at all, was it?
No. MC196118. This is a client, a Microsoft Teams client for Linux. Now, it is preview. I want to make sure that everyone knows that. I don't use Linux. I haven't used Linux for, it's been 20 years, 19 years or something.
On a desktop. Yeah. Linux powers the world, right? Behind the scenes.
Yeah, but it is, using that as a OS. I haven't used it in so long. I know there's people that do, but so they've been talking about this for a while, just announcing this is coming mid-December 2019, and be able to find...
Preview?
Yep, it is preview, as I mentioned, and be able to... There's information on how to install the Teams client for Linux, and then to be able to download it when it's available. This is interesting, Darrell. This is the one thing I wanted to kind of mention for this message myself, was they've included a link to the download location before it's available, to say, if you come back to this message center message, when it's ready, then you can click that. I think it's actually really smart, because if this is your interface into what's coming in your tenant, the message center, then this is the place where you're going to come back and go, okay, I'm going to search for Linux or Teams for Linux and find the download link.
because you can search now. And if you remember our conversation with Mike Ziok at Ignite about the changes and updates, improvements to the message center,
Yep.
they are starting to take a message like this, and if they've got an update to it, it will bump to the top of the list again. So even if you don't think to look for Linux, when it becomes available, expect to see update, and boop, it'll be at the top, and you can go and download the binary to compile and put into Linux. The one thing I thought of when I saw this was, you remember like a couple of years ago there was Microsoft loves Linux t-shirts and slogans and stickers and stuff, and it was all about Linux coming into Azure and being hosted there. We now need a Microsoft Teams loves Linux t-shirt,
or just Teams. I like that. Yes, I think that's a great idea. I did want to mention, piggybacking off of what you just said, we do have search. It's fantastic. But every time I come into the message center, and I actually just gave feedback, I clicked on this give feedback button, and I just did this yesterday. It does sort by last updated, and I absolutely hate that. I would rather it sort by message ID. And so you'll see that I've actually come in here and done that. Now, part of that is because I keep up with updates for you, for the people. We keep up with updates, and I want to see the new ones, not the updated ones. I want to see.
We the people appreciate that, Daniel.
So I come in here and go, it's always sorted by last updated. Great, I'm glad to see that, but I need to see them in message ID order, which means as posted. So the new ones, and so I have to come in.
Give us an option, right?
Give us
search
an easy
filter.
option. Actually,
filter and search.
That's exactly what I said. I'd like to have the ability to save my preference. Now, what I'd really like is maybe some tabs. Maybe create my own tab up here to say, sorted by most recent, sorted by most updated. That would be awesome. Anyway. So, Darrell, moving on to the next one, which is MC196205. You teased this on the tweeters, preparing for self-service purchase capabilities in the Power Platform. We talked about this in ad nauseum a few weeks ago about how they were turning on. So did the rest of the world. And so did the rest of the world. Of how they were going to turn on the ability for any user in your organization to be able to purchase Power BI, Power Apps, or Power Automate licensing. Now, we talked about it recently that they've rolled back that plan and are going to allow, they're going to do it, but then going to push it off for a few months or a month or so to start it, but then they're going to give you the ability to turn it off, right? So this is an update about that.
That's the update about we're giving you an off button.
Yep.
So at least we're getting a bit of control there. Oh wow, there's quite a few links there about how to do what and where. So quite a good reference point.
It is. It's very interesting because obviously it says, no action is required, of course, but here's some useful resources. So we have user documentation, we have admin documentation for each, for Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate. I think that's a little bit of an overkill, but I mean, cool. Thanks for providing links. We can find that information, I think, on our own.
Isn't this a bit funny, right? So this is about self-service, and as an end user, if it was turned on, then I'm going to go, oh yes, I've heard about this Power Automate and there's Power BI. I want to use it, and I'm going to buy a license for our little business unit. They're going to go and find those resources anyway themselves. They're going to learn. They're going to teach themselves. That's great. So what's the purpose of the links in here again for the admins?
I actually think it is marketing. Basically, I think it is a way for them to go. I will say the some of the conversation I received from Microsoft, because frankly, I was all up in their business. I was one of those that was really vocal on the communication channels that we have the privilege to have with Microsoft. And so, but the feedback I was getting was, okay, but I don't understand why you wouldn't want to turn it on. Like, maybe get out in the real world. That's the feedback, was that Microsoft, some of the and the team that were making the decision were like, okay, but we'll do this, but we really do feel like you should leave it on. This, I don't really understand why you would turn it off. And it was like, come on. I mean, I think they got it, but they really want you to turn it on. And so I think maybe these links are, hey, just refresh yourself on how awesome these things are.
Yeah.
Provide this to your users. But
one of those big arguments against or for turning it off and having a bit more control over it was, what about all the information that these people are going to be able to connect to third-party connections and stuff? And, oh, wouldn't you want to turn it on? It actually puts more onus then on the organization to get their governance in order, go to each of those different information sources and make sure that they're locked down and have a ring fence around it. But what if you don't have the license that enables you to do that to its fullest extent to protect your information?
Microsoft recommends you purchase that license.
Oh, yeah. Let's have an E6, thanks.
Right. I think E6. That was one of the big ones, was I don't have governance in place. A lot of organizations, you're not giving us enough time, because this was already going to be turned on, I think, or within the next week. They were going to have Power BI turned on to where people could buy all the licenses. And it was like, wait a minute, if we need governance, yes, everyone should have governance, but if we don't have it, then you're not giving us enough time to do it. So anyway, this is to be able to turn on or turn off, use the PowerShell to turn it off, is now available right now. So I just opened up the more information. So go check that out, the blog post, to find out how to use that PowerShell to turn it off if that's what your organization would like. I know there's organizations that want it. Fine, go for it.
Yep.
Next one, Darrell. Suggested reply. I'm excited. Suggested replies and Outlook for iOS. I am. MC196208. Darrell, do you use any services that do this already? That have suggested replies? I have
opinions about these suggested replies.
Go for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been there for text messages on phones. Kind of handy if you're driving and you really shouldn't be touching your phone.
Right.
There's the suggested replies for Gmail, and I think Outlook.com might have them. But, it detects the language in the question and the whatever is in the response that's been sent to you and suggests a reply. Does this mean the whole world's going to be replying with the same kinds of phrases? Does it mean that we'll all have kind of Americanism cheeriness with all our replies, or can we create our own?
Isn't that a great
idea?
What do you reckon? Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
Aren't you excited
Western
about
culture?
Everyone becoming speaking American with their replies.
You know what I mean? It's
I do know
general
what you mean.
cheeriness.
Well, you should be generally cheery. Are you saying you're not generally cheery in your replies?
I'll give you an example. Like when an error message pops up on the screen these days, it's plain relatable language, like "Oops, something went wrong." If you remember that from a few years back with Wave 14 when it came out, and it's that, well, something went wrong, and it's sort of kind of cheery, sort of Western-y way of saying it. Maybe some cultures need to work a bit harder to understand what that means. And so what are the suggested replies going to be like? Are they going to be sort of cultured in a certain way? Is there a Zoomer culture? Can I say Zoomer, not Boomer? A Zoomer way of saying it? I don't know.
Okay. It
might be a grumpy old man, a grumpy old boomer.
Oh my. Okay, boomer.
It was about to happen, wasn't it?
I know, wasn't it? The thing I wanted to mention here is it is configurable in now it's configurable from an administrator perspective, but it's also configurable on the user perspective. They can turn it off in the mobile app, in the mobile settings in Outlook, to turn that off or turn it back on. So just let you know that's where it is. But I think, we probably will see more of these okay thanks or okay thank you, that's great, those kind of replies. And I'm not... if it takes away a genuine reply, then yeah, it's a bad thing. But if I wouldn't reply to your message, because what am I supposed to say? Just, click reply, okay, send. It just seems so But if, there's some sort of built-in reply that says, okay, thank you, have a great day, or something, and I could just click it and it happens, I don't know.
You see, that I would take as, even if that was a suggested Danielism reply, where you can add to your own personal Daniel dictionary
Nice,
or
but
Daniel
I doubt we
phrases.
can. But yes, it would be
Yeah,
good.
that would be something I could handle, because then I know that it is from you, even if it is suggested reply of Daniel in the future might need this phrase that Daniel in the past creates, so you might find that quite useful on the run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. One thing I noticed, it doesn't tell me when it's coming. It
Oh
says
no, I think it was
soon.
further up, mid-December. Expect to roll out suggested replies. Next paragraph down.
Aha,
Mid-December.
mid-December. Expected. That's interesting.
Starting to. Like, if I went looking for it now, I don't
It
think
will
it's
be.
there.
No, but we expect to start rolling. Okay, that's very vague. But anyway.
I'm feeling expectant.
Yep. Next
I'm in the
message.
third trimester. I'm in the
Whoa.
third trimester of this message, of this update.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm expectant. Never mind.
Updates to the Microsoft Graph Reports API data visibility. This is one of those, the prevent or fix.
Yeah.
We've seen only a few of these, but so far where it says, hey, this is broken, and this is how you're going to, or this will be broken. So on December 16th of 2019, the Graph Reports API, you not only need to be able to be authorized with the delegate permissions, but you're also going to need to have one of the roles as outlined in this message, either company administrator.
What's a link administrator?
Right. Company administrator, exchange administrator, SharePoint administrator, link administrator, or global reader. I think and those technology specific ones are if you're, if that's the API you're trying to connect to, that's what applies. But just wanted to, kind of put that out there. There's not too much more to say about it. There's some documentation, which is great. Links on this message. So if you want to learn more and how to do all of that, and the roles and how to assign those in Azure AD, definitely check out the documentation, because they got them right there. It's good info.
Hey, is this the area Jeremy Fake covers?
I believe.
And...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yep. So knock on his door on social media if you've got some questions.
He'll love it.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Jeremy.
Yeah. No, I mean, that in seriousness too, like if you're an org that's put a lot of work into creating your own reports, and you've come to understand what the graph does, then this is going to be a change you want to keep on top of, going through and changing all your authentication to make sure that it's in line with this new model.
Absolutely. And also that, for those that are creating solutions on top of Office 365 that, have instructions on, okay, you got to do these things, delegate permissions, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to update it to say, okay, if you're interacting with SharePoint, for instance, they have to be a SharePoint administrator, or, maybe a global reader. And I missed one, reports reader is another role that you can, if reports is what the API is connected to, then you can. So anyway, let's move right along to multiple updates to the SharePoint Admin Center. MC 196377. There's not much
part
to talk
A,
about
part
here.
B, part C, part D.
Well, and I think what is interesting about these updates is we've talked about quite a few of these, but then some of them we haven't, and they were either announced at Ignite or announced before. So things like replace root site, we've talked about that. We can replace the root site with a different site, and that's in MC 189866 as the previous announcement. The permissions panel, this is something that if you want to be able to manage the permissions for site owners and members and visitors in SharePoint, the permissions panel comes out. I've seen it for a while in my first release targeted. Just using all of the phrases to describe my tenant. But then, things like the people card, this is something we haven't talked about, right, Darrell? But this is when you hover over a name of a user it says on the active sites list or in the details panel, it lets you see about the user. And this is something we saw a lot about at Ignite, of not only just seeing their name and their picture, but, seeing a bit of details about the user, right? I think that's...
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more coming to these cards. Ignite talked about bringing in recent conversations, and if you even had a glimpse of Project Cortex, then these cards are also going to come through with what is it, topics and keywords that are all about bringing information to you where you are.
Well, and I think that's with Project Cortex, and that what you were just talking about, it's all about bringing information to you and not having to search all over the place for it. And this is that people card is most certainly part of that kind of concept. Additional site level sharing settings. There's a lot in this one. So for all sites, you can now limit sharing by domain. So if you want to say, I only want you to share this site with certain domains, you can do that, and then you can set the default sharing link type, the default sharing link permission. So we've been able to do that for classic sites and everything. But then you can also, you can also make anyone links expire. I think we've talked about that previously. We've been able to do that.
It's been in OneDrive for some time. It's really nice to see this at all of these things at the site level, where we could set it at a site collection or tenant level, but you might have a project site where you want to have a slightly different set of permissions to allow you to have a better guest experience for collaboration.
Most certainly. And then lastly, in just this one update, this one item in this update is the external sharing column is now included when you export your site list as a CSV. So you're getting more reporting information here when you export that to see what's going on as far as sharing is concerned, external sharing is concerned for your sites. Navigation pane is customizable. You can hide items that you don't want to see there, and I think that's great. Again, giving us more options to be able for our experience for when we are using our sites. You want to say anything about that, Darrell? The navigation pane?
No,
nothing. Okay. More features page. So those of us that have been the SharePoint admin, there's been a link called Classic Features, to where you click that and it takes you to a page with all the links to different considered classic functionality, although some of it pertains to modern as well. But now it's called More Features instead of Classic Features.
Which goes to this other point that the community is starting to make, that what is a classic site? It's actually the old site. A modern site is actually the now site. So we start calling modern now because it's now.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Good now. It is now. We're a noun happening site.
A couple of design updates. Details panel has been widened. Fantastic. Giving us a little bit more space to actually read.
More detail.
Yep. And the settings page has been redesigned as a list. So, I think that is great so that you can actually see the settings instead of having to drill into that. You can actually see the value. It says these updates will appear automatically for all global and SharePoint admins. Great. You don't really need to do anything other than familiarize yourself with these changes and how to use them. Really.
Yeah, well, and they're not all admin features, though, are they? Nope. So remember, too, there's a couple there, like the people card, and
so there's some experience there that managing that change with your
navigation
users.
pane.
Yep. So this is definitely. We released the 6th episode of the Coffee Chat on 365 Adoption that was recorded at Microsoft Ignite, and we talked about. I'm linking this here. We talked about running how you create groups within your organization. And, running things like user groups within your organization or meetups, just internally as well. And so hopefully you're doing that. and you can talk about these things along with others in those meetings. I just wanted to bring that around to what you were just saying. Talk about the people card and how that's going to work.
Because it takes a village.
Yes, it does take a village. Ha ha! Look at you. That was the title to the new episode of the Coffee Chat.
I was listening.
So, Intune, Darrell, MC196383, new device management link.
Now, we see this in our tenants because we're lucky enough to get an E5 as part of being on the MVP program. So you might not all see this, but it's what new device link, admin center Intune. Yeah, more about being able to manage your devices in a different way from your admin center. Ooh, okay, yep. Let's blow this up a bit there for. And I love those cutouts, Ooh, there we go. This
you don't need that
not
part
this,
up there.
it's that. Yeah. So notice it is not device management now. It's going to be called endpoint management and bringing things into an endpoint. I don't know how that sits really. I mean, what are you using today on your endpoint? How many endpoints do you have, Daniel?
Well, and I think this brings us. This brings and I can understand it because.
Yeah.
Device sounds very phone-ish or laptop-ish. And I know that
is a device.
It is
laptop,
a device,
phone, tablet.
But what if there's more than that? And I think
watch
services, IoT, maybe this is a little bit more about managing bringing it I feel like it's more bringing it in line with the security language of rather than the office language of devices,
the friendly vernacular. So Intune peeps and admins, just remember to switch that vernacular back to something that people can relate to when you're talking to people.
Right.
Sometimes they don't like being called end users, but now you've got another end users using endpoints, so you can keep talking about ends all you want. But when you talk to people, talk about devices and my people.
Yes.
So
some more information here and additional. You don't need to do anything to prepare for this change because you can't do anything about it. Just anyway.
Peace out.
Peace out. Okay, we got two more. One, evaluate and update conditional access policies after new iPad OS release, MC196472. This is a follow-up. We talked about this in September of the MC191344. But this new update for iPads is called now iPad OS, right, Darrell?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what threw the system into a bit of a curly, because all of a sudden it was this different signature or footprint for applying policies, and it's been a prevent or fix message that's been revisited a few times. If you notice there in the title, it says follow up to.
That's right.
So this is just making sure, have you done what you need to do to get these policies back in place, and recognizing the the iPad OS to apply those policies.
Exactly. It's as simple as that. So definitely check that out. And it talks about if you did the workaround in the KB article, this is a quick way to verify it. So make sure you definitely check that out.
Yep.
Moving on to the last thing, I did want to mention one other thing. So we'll do this and then we'll mention that. But that's not in the message center. Service Health Dashboard email notifications goes GA. This is MC196504. Darrell, we're getting all the emails, right?
Yep. Yeah, we are. We're getting a message now for when a update occurs or something happens within the Service Health dashboard. I guess it would have been kind of busy last week if this was in place.
Yes, it was. Last week was quite fun.
Let's just say Microsoft status Twitter handle was quite busy too.
It was. But so this is just giving you, hey, this is available in targeted release and gradually rolling out early December. It should be completed by the end of March 2020. I highly suggest you do this. Do this for people who are responsible for managing the conversations with your users, help desk most certainly, but those power users even maybe, and I'm not talking, I'm talking about those people who are, oh my goodness, like those ninjas, those people who are just, they're very much in it. They may not have an official role in managing it, but people go to them in your organization. Those are the people they go to of what's going on. How do I use this? You know, maybe even they should get notifications. So be creative with the 2 email addresses that you can specify there to be able to do that.
Yep. To a group email or a group mailbox. Bear in mind, though, that sometimes the service health is to the extent where you're not going to receive that email.
Right. So if
you're not even
going
to see the service health dashboard, for example.
So if certain this is kind of one of those things where you email, your Exchange server goes down, so you send out an email to your users saying email's down, and they don't get it until email comes back up. So I wanted to mention one last thing. Well, I'll mention this one last thing. If you have something else, you can, of course. But as has been kind of leaked a little bit, this week, the Microsoft support sent out an email to a customer that was having issues and with Delve blogs. And the announcement to that customer was, well, as it happens, we're going to kill Delve blogs. So, sorry. And so wanted to make sure that everyone realizes that that's been said. Now, we've kind of, again, gone back through our channels to Microsoft saying, what in the world? We've got to, we need a little bit, we need some information here. It's not in the message center. And in fact, they're talking, and the reason why it was kind of urgent was the beginning of the year, they were going to delete Delve blogs. Like, if you have Delve blogs, they were going to remove them. And it was like, wait a minute, what? And they're going to, the timeline was very aggressive. And so we were kind of freaking out. And so just to let you know, stay tuned to this space. We, make sure you follow the hashtags on Twitter for us to communicate with you on what we hear and what we see. And I expect to get more information on this already. I got a message this morning from the person who's responsible for this kind of this, I don't know, call it a project, but this action, and they're working on it, and they're going to do some I think some better communication. So just to let you know, it's coming. So if your organization is using Delve blogs, then you most certainly need to pay attention to this. My friend of the show, Drew Madeline, has already created a blog post out there. Maybe we can link this in the notes, but a blog post telling you how to find all your Delve blogs, who's using them, so that you can see if this is going to affect you or not. So anyway, do you have anything, Darrell, to mention?
Yeah, look, my update. I've done a video. There's a blog post which I should release today, and it's a feature coming to Outlook Mobile, a very busy app at the moment, where you can control your do not disturb status for notifications. So I give some guidance around when you might use that to help shape your day into more focused pockets of time or after hours that you're not receiving any email notifications from the sources that tend to incite those sort of, I must read this, I must attend to this right now, and also carving out that weekend. So yeah, have a look for that. Don't know if I'll have it out in time for us to link to the the video's there. We can link to the video in the YouTube thingos once we get that going. But yeah, that's it's all about trying to make sure that you've got productive time and then your time, and we really do need to have more tools and capabilities of enforcing that. We see it in our phones now too, where we're like, what is our social or our screen time? Telling us and measuring, are we spending too much time on our screens, and how much time we're spending in work applications. So this is another tool to help put our own personal governance around how much time we are working or overworking.
Yep, and stay focused.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Darrell, and thank you, everyone. I hope that this has been valuable to you, and you've learned some things. I've learned some things myself. So Thank you, everyone, for watching. And until next week, I guess this is bye-bye for now.
Good now. Bye now.